So the Spurs still in their rebuild. How much does the possibility of a coaching vacancy hinder that rebuild?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're having a great day, good work day, and getting ready to talk some Spurs basketball right here on Locked On Spurs, your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Check us out on the KENS 5 Plus app, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. Also, the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below if you're on YouTube. Click on that link. You'll see it. Sign up. Completely free. You want to do that right now. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So make sure to go do that right now. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at the coaching spot, the possibility of a vacancy if Pop decides to hang it up and the Spurs go with candidate 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. Whatever it is, how much does that, question that's looming over the Spurs right now going to impact the rebuild, impact possible free agents, Wemby? Well, we discuss that and more. And then we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk Wembanyama basketball cards. Yeah. We'll go over the big news recently, what happened at a golden auction, and our guest's going to show off some of his collection. I'm going to show you off my basketball card. I'm not kidding when I say my basketball card. You'll find out in just a few minutes. All right, let's go to bring in our guest. The Vin Dog is back, everybody. My colleague at KENS 5 San Antonio. He is a contributor there. Vinny, welcome back.
You know what I tweeted after last night's loss to the Pelicans as part of that two-game roadie against the Pelicans? I tweeted, I know they're missing the big guy, yes, but the Spurs aren't this bad. I'm just convinced they're not this bad.
I'm right there with you, and that's a whole other discussion. We're Locked On Spurs. I'm going to steal that from you, Vinny. I'm going to take that topic from you and use that moving forward. But y'all want to follow Vinny on X at Vinnie Vinzetta. You're on YouTube. You can see it on your screen right there. Follow that X account right now. He gives you a little bit of everything. He gives you sports. He gives you high school football. He gives you Spurs. Even where to go dine in San Antonio. I'm jealous of that, Vinny. That's a sweet gig you got there.
So, funny you mentioned that. My next neighborhood eats is going to be on a place called Ahua Grill. And on the menu, there are a couple of items designed by Big Shot. Remember that guy?
Really?
Big Shot. Yes, Big Shot found menu items on the Ahua Grill. So we're gonna show that off. So we got a little Spurs connection with my next neighborhood.
I told you Vinny does it all for KENS 5. Again, follow him on X at Vinnie Vinzetta. So why is Vinny here today? If you're on YouTube, you can see on your screen. We'll go over that topic one more time. The coaching spot for the Spurs. The Spurs have not made an official statement, but ESPN Sharania has said that Popovich is likely not to come back this season, and moving forward, his possible return is kind of cloudy right now, uncertain. Now, Mitch Johnson, he's the interim head coach right now, but the Spurs, if Popovich decides to call it a day, can go in various directions. Brand new coach, college coach, from within. Mitch, bringing an old buddy back. I don't know, like somebody's on the bench right now, Brett Brown. The point is, if Popovich decides to leave, whoever the next head coach could be, is that going to impact the rebuild moving forward? So we're going to discuss that and a whole lot more. But Vinny, just get your first initial thoughts when you heard the report from Sharania there. You're like me, kind of like, okay, I'm not too surprised by that.
I wasn't surprised, Jeff. Yeah. I mean, the man suffered a stroke. I mean, I'm not sure anybody is ever the same after going through an episode like that. So no, to give you a short, quick answer, no, it was sort of the not shocking news of the day. Didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, Mitch is doing the best he can, considering he was thrown into the fire there. Nobody predicted what was going to happen to Pop, but Spurs fans, he's doing a terrible job. I think he's doing an okay job, all factors considered. Not having a training camp under his belt, not being part of an off-season development program with the players, just giving a fair shake at it. So I'm willing to do that for him. But Vinny, considering the Spurs are in a rebuild right now, and a big piece right now that just surfacing faster now is the possibility of a vacant head coaching spot. Do you think that's going to impact the rebuild as far as attracting free agents, maybe current players that, may not want to, okay, who's this guy? Everybody comes for Pop. Pop was a big draw. I want to play for Pop. Pop's the player's coach and all that stuff. But do you think it's really going to impact the rebuild?
Not necessarily, because everybody wants to play with, I think a lot of people want to play with Victor Wembanyama, and we're under the idea that he's going to be fine and be healthy and ready to go for next season. So I think that's who free agents want to be attracted to, is to play with that guy and some of the other talent that they have with the Aaron Fox and others. Now, I will say this, does not having Coach Pop moving forward, does that stall the rebuild a little bit? Well, by default, yes. He's the winningest coach of all time, and many will argue the greatest NBA coach of all time. But I do think, too, Jeff, that somebody like Gregg Popovich and maybe, let's say, a Steve Kerr or a Pat Riley or a Phil Jackson comes to mind, they'll tell you that legendary championship Hall of Fame players make their job easier, no doubt. But I do believe absolutely in coaching, like the motivation factor they provide and the fine tuning and doing the little things the right way they can provide to the greatest of players of all time. So I do think, yes, not having him does set it back a little bit, not too much, because I think there are smart people in the building. But as you mentioned, if it's not Pop, are they going to look outside the building to the college ranks, to an NBA assistant, maybe somebody already in-house? So it's going to be curious for sure, because of what they potentially believe they will be moving forward, and the way they think they might dominate the league in future years or be a major player. They'll want to land for sure the right guy to help guide that process.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it'll stall it a bit. If Pop decides to hang it up, he'll still be around the organization, so he can still be an influential piece as far as, convincing players to come to San Antonio or not leave San Antonio. Kind of like what Pat Riley is doing right now, behind the scenes. Everybody knows about the Butler mess. But the point is that he has a hand in, the team still. You see that in Miami. I can see Popovich duplicating that as well. Where I think it could really hurt the rebuild is they bring in an outsider. I think that's the big wild card. Let's just say they bring in Vinnie Vinzetta from the head coaching ranks at UTSA. They bring him in, and Vinnie Vinzetta wants to bring in his own crew, bring in his own team, bring in his own philosophy. I think that's where I could see a little bit of, this is a whole new crew here. What do you think about that thought? The outsider kind of being the wild card.
That doesn't seem like the Spurs way, does it? To hear you say that, but I think if they bring in an outsider, he has to understand that look up and see the banners, like we know what we're doing here. So don't interrupt the process. So I wouldn't think that if they bring in an outsider that they would allow him to like blow the thing up and bring in all his own people. But maybe that's the way the coaching world works, that you want to bring in your own people. But I just think there are still too many smart people in the building to make the wrong mistake.
Right.
And if you do bring in an outsider, I think there's a lot of already in-house voices that help everybody understand this is the way we do things. This is the way we want to do business. Will you, whoever you are, will you fit into that? So that's kind of like my process. But I do agree with you what you said about Coach Pop still has pull if he's not going to be the guy moving forward. It's kind of like, Tim Duncan, who's still in the building, and he works out with LaMarcus Aldridge, comes in and works out with Victor. Manu's still around. Tony's still around. So, there's going to be a lot of pull by a guy like Pop and others to still get people to want to come here. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a big question mark. The future head coach. It's like it's the one dangling out there right now. So everybody's curious to see how this thing's going to play out.
Yeah, absolutely. He is Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at KENS 5 TV. Make sure to follow him on X at VVinzetta. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about this topic, the possibility of a vacant head coaching spot, who the Spurs can move forward with. Does that hold back the rebuild? We're going to be discussing that and more right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, let's go ahead and talk about FanDuel.
When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on that than with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I miss a chance. Plus, with the app, it's easy to use. When you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You just want to go to FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. How about that? Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Vinnie Vinzetta. Follow him on X at VVinzetta. Make sure to encourage him to put in his application to become the next head Spurs coach there. I think you do.
Let's not do that. No, my plate's full enough. Right here.
Right. He is with KENS 5 TV. He does a little bit of everything from sports to neighborhood eats. He does it all. He'll brag about that in just a few minutes. So we're talking about the possibility of the head coaching spot being vacant and if that impacts the rebuild. Now, I want to circle back to something we talked about in that first segment, is bringing an outsider in. I know you mentioned about, the culture, that corporate knowledge that they want to keep on going, that Pop established. Does that train of thought change, Vinny, for you if it's a Dan Hurley? If it's a Bill Self, big power college name head coaches that maybe, the Spurs might bend a little bit. Does that change anything for you?
It could. I mean, there was a time when we were hearing Jay Wright from used to be Villanova might be the next head coach. But to hear Coach Hurley or Coach Self, Bill Self has been mentioned. I suppose I can see them bending a little bit, but I also think those coaches understand what's happened here the last 20 years with all this success. And so why would they want to come in here and shake it up too much? So I think hiring a college coach, man, even if it's a highly successful one, you gotta be careful because, it might be more so in football, but not every college head coach translates successfully to the professional level. So I just think you got to be careful and make sure you find the right fit if you're gonna dip your toe into the deep end of the pool there.
Yeah, help me out here. Who was the last head coach in college ranks to make it big in the NBA?
Well,
was it?
I'm going to think on that one. Like, obviously, there have been a lot that have taken the plunge, but who was the?
I think. Would you say? Hey, Vinny, it wasn't Tarkanian, that's for sure.
It was not. That was a short stay.
Yeah, but I mean, speaking of college ranks, although he's not coaching in the college ranks anymore, what about a guy like Avery Johnson? Don't you think that almost would be a perfect fit? He has NBA experience with the Spurs, coaching experience in the NBA with the Mavericks, college experience coaching. I think he could be on the short list. What are your thoughts?
Completely agree. Just because he's a past NBA player and he understands the NBA ways. I mean, I've seen people posting, is it time to give CP3 a shot to be the next head coach or bring back Manu? So I sometimes I get a little bit fuzzy about ex-players because that they walk a different line than coaches do. But Avery has coaching experience and he understands the Spurs way. So I 100% can see Avery Johnson being the next head coach. Like, I even think that you're going to hear Becky Hammond tossed around.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
I mean, I think she could easily walk away from the Las Vegas Aces to come head coach in San Antonio. Could you get a kind of like when Doc was sent from the Clippers or from the Celtics to the Clippers or whatever it was? Yeah. Could you get Coach Bud back home? Is Chad Forcier ready for his first coaching gig? So there are names out there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't really look far as well. Brett Brown, does he have the itch again to take the head coaching ranks? He's sitting right there. He's
right
Pop's best buddy. And he understands Pop's system, and of course, Brett Brown was somewhat successful in Philadelphia during the trusted process era. But nevertheless, though, if you're looking at that possibility of a head coaching vacancy in San Antonio, I do agree with you. I think it does halt the rebuild somewhat. I don't think it puts it years behind. I think maybe would you give it maybe a season behind schedule? Is that too much or too little?
I'd say that's fair. Maybe even too much. I mean, but they think when they're healthy and with the free agent money they have, and with obviously the future foundation piece, they're closer than they've ever been in recent years. So I think anybody you get in here is going to understand that you build around the tall guy and that the future is bright. And the idea of looking at different direction to bring in other players, I think anybody was going to do that. If Pop was on the bench, he was going to do that because they need more people. So anybody's going to do that.
Yeah, you're right. And it doesn't take a genius. If you're the new head coach, if Vinnie Vinzetta's name tomorrow, I'm pretty sure your first play drawn up will be give it to the big guy. That's it. Something like that. Let's bring back 4 down one more time. We'll see if Wemby likes that. So, whoever it comes in is not going to be difficult on the court. I wouldn't say it's a ready-made team for a new coach, but it sure is, the foundation is set with Wemby, Castle, whoever they pick up in this upcoming NBA draft. We know they're going to get a good spot, whether that's via ATL or their own pick. So they're there. And I think that about the box as well. So it's a good starting foundation, not ready-made, but it's a good starting foundation. So with that being said, Vinny, we kind of threw out a name right there, Avery Johnson. You threw out Becky Hammond. Is there a guy on your list that you would love to see the Spurs give the reins to?
Gosh, Avery sounds pretty darn good to me.
Yeah.
And Becky's name, I assume, will come up. I wouldn't dismiss Jay Wright or a Bill Self, maybe even after his success at UConn, Dan Hurley wanting to take a shot at the NBA. So their list is not short. I mean, they have prospects. They have people out there that they can take a shot on. So I guess I would lean, if you were to say who's your number one, I guess I would immediately lean Avery. It was great to see him on a recent FanDuel broadcast, and he still understands everything about the Spurs, and the guy knows basketball. So I wouldn't be opposed to giving a contract to Avery Johnson at all.
Yeah, not at all. You got Mitch there, though. I noticed you didn't name him on your short list. Are you not sold on Mitch Johnson quite yet?
It's not that I'm not sold. I was just sort of in the moment in this conversation, giving you outside names.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Do like Mitch. Been very calm, cool, and collected. He was thrown
easy.
He was thrown into an impossible situation, as any assistant coach would have been, with the health condition of Coach Pop, and then you lose your generational young star player. It's almost unfair in some ways what they have been through and what he's been through. Of course, you got to look at the guy already sitting at the head of the bench. Yes, but it wouldn't shock me if they went another direction. But as Mitch, because of what he's been through and done, does he deserve a look? I think he does.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I believe so too. Hey, in my opinion, I think he doesn't have a foot in the door for the next head coaching spot officially, taking off the interim. I think he has his hip all the way down to his toes in the door, all things considered. So, but we'll see how he ends up. But I really think how he winds up the season might be indicative of where the Spurs think where he could be on their list. If Pop decides to not come back and call it a day. Oh, did you notice George Karl, when he posted on X? He almost, you got to wonder if he let the cat out of the bag. I think he might have.
What did he say?
That? Well, after the Serrania report, George Karl, former Spur, Hall of Famer, best buddy of Popovich, put out there in a nutshell saying, good decision, Pop, good to see you moving forward. So, but don't know if he let the cat out of the bag or he was just assuming things. But
Coach Carl's not afraid to say whatever's on his mind and what he knows. He puts stuff out there a lot.
Yeah. Ask Carmelo Anthony about that. Yeah, he definitely lets everybody know what he feels about Carmelo. But nevertheless, it will be interesting to see how the Spurs deal with the head coaching spot moving forward, and if it does impact the rebuild. In my opinion, not too much, considering you got a guy named Wemby standing out there, and Castle and Fox, so maybe it doesn't hinder it too much. I'm not going to take a genius of where to start your offense and defense with those three guys, but nevertheless, we'd like to hear from y'all. Let us know what you think about the head coaching spot moving forward and the rebuild. Let Vinny know on X at Vinnie Vinzetta. Let me know by following me on X as well at Jeff G Spurs Zone. When we get back, we're going to be discussing Wemby cards, basketball cards. My guest here, Vinny, he had a chance to go out to a San Antonio sports card shop. He's going to tell you all about that. And I'm asking him a big question about Wemby cards now that he is out for the season. We'll be discussing that and more right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, let's talk about Robinhood.
With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up today at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC.
This is Emilio Rivera, the Padrino for the Mayans MC. You are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Vinnie Vinzetta. That's the name you got to follow on X because he is Vinnie Vinzetta. Do that right now. He's my colleague at KENS 5 TV. He does a little bit of everything for the station, from neighborhood eats to sports to cards. Yes, basketball cards. We're going to be discussing that right now. Vinny, you had a chance to go out to a San Antonio sports card shop, and you kind of focused on Wemby cards. What did you learn? What can you share with everybody?
Yeah, the market is hot for Victor sports memorabilia right now, whether it be a signed card, a signed basketball, a huge signed framed picture, which they call the wingspan photo.
Oh, yeah.
His stuff is hot, and the owner of Sports Cards Plus told me that he never thought he'd see any card hotter than Tim Duncan's rookie card, but he says that Victor's stuff has absolutely surpassed it, and they have stuff that is valued, Victor cards, from as low as $15-$20 to well into the thousands. So wow. You can spend a pretty penny for stuff in there, and I myself have picked up a few. But yeah, the market is good, and I think even despite him being out for the rest of this season, his stuff is going to stay real hot.
Yeah, it's almost like the market, the financial market. Right now, he's out for the season. Maybe the prices on his cards have dipped a bit, and you want to buy now, so when he comes back, he shows out on the court, your investment will be great. Did you catch the recent Golden auction? That rare Wemby rookie card, it had this kind of make and the nebula status or whatever it was. The point is, that was a rare Wemby card, and I think it got me that it was like number was 130 plus. It was like 132, 137. So not a high card, not in the 1 through 10 or 1 through 20, but you sold for over $800,000. That is a record.
Somebody
really would be. Good Lord.
Wow.
I mean, don't you think that's a little bit too much? I mean, because you're really banking on his future.
I feel like there must have been a bidding war. I mean, you're approaching $1 million already for that. That's like a piece of Civil War memorabilia or presidential memorabilia. But yeah, $866,000. That's wow. That's somebody really wanted their hands on that, and they're paying a hefty price.
What I was asking, what did you think about that Wemby jersey that also went for auction on Golden? and sold over for like, I think it was a lot of money. I don't know the actual figure here, but it was the same jersey swap he did with a little kid out in Brooklyn. I know a lot of fans were doing a lot of pushback for the kid's parents for doing that. Wemby posted on X a sad face when he found out the news that it went up in auction. What do you land on that? Fans flipping signed gear or cards for mega bucks.
Well, everybody's in it for the money, obviously.
Yeah.
They want to make a quick buck, get that quick fix. But if a Wemby card is going to go for nearly $1 million, that tells me that the expectation is like high, that this guy is going to walk away when it's all said and done as a top 5, top 3 player like of all time. So people are expecting his value to grow immensely in the coming years, that they're willing to, pay that kind of money to get their hands on memorabilia from a guy who has played basically a season and a half so far. That's incredible to me.
One thing I like about your story, and by the way, you want to go to Vinny's X again at V Vinzetta. I believe you'll find it on his timeline there. You see the whole video and everything. You spoke to the owner, and he said like one of the most surprising items brought into his shop was a rare baseball card. Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, a gentleman I think was cleaning out a house, and they were pulling out an old couch, and they pulled out the cushions or whatever, and there laid a bunch of baseball cards, and he brings them in and says, "I don't know anything about cards. I don't know what I got here. Can you tell me anything?" The Hannes Wagner tobacco cards from like the 19 valued at like $3 million, and he said, "I think I made the guy's day."
I hope the owner got a little bit of a cut there if he put it up for auction or whatnot, but
you would assume, yeah, that's 95% of us walk in with something that we think holds value, and they break our hearts. But that's the rare find when you walk in and really learn you've got something really, really valuable. That's awesome.
Yeah. Vinny, you have some cards to show off right now, but before you do that, I want to let everybody know too, I'm the highest bidder right now for Vinnie Vinzetta cards, so please don't try to outbid me right now.
Well, I didn't say my stuff was for sale. I just
sorry, my mistake. Okay, Vinny, what you got for us?
I just grabbed a couple that I remember were in a box, but here's the old Yankees card.
Think about that too, Vinny. That's the first professional jersey he wore before becoming a pro in the NBA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it's a 10 too. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I've got one of the old Rookie of the Year cards.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yep, slabbed up and everything.
Yes, very, very well protected. Here's kind of a cool one. This says there we go, San Antonio.
There. Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
It looks like one of those murals that you'll find in San Antonio.
And then I grabbed this one, which is kind of interesting. It's only valued at $20, but they told me that expect that the value on this will definitely rise because this is kind of a rarity. So I'm going to expect some financial growth off of this Wemby card right here. So kind of excited about
what is that card? Like, why is it special? Or
so it's called the World Champions, and you can kind of see the design and kind of they were talking about kind of the way the edges.
Yeah.
Part is kind of what makes it stand out, and it's kind of rare in that aspect. So, and it's not a picture; it's more of a painted kind of artistic.
Oh, I see. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, I have my own card too, Vinny.
What do you mean by your own card?
I have my. I have friend of Locked On Spurs, Jacob Eric, who is a big time card collector, basketball, baseball. Pick a card, he'll probably have it. So I was hosting a Comic-Con over the summer in San Antonio. Caught up with him, and he goes, "Hey, I got your cards." I go, "My cards? What do you mean my cards?" He goes, "Yeah, your cards." I said, "I remember that he had told me that he was going to be designing a Jeff Garcia card." So. Look at that. And of course he captured the nerdiness of it. The complete nerdiness. I'll put that a little closer there. The complete nerdiness of that. I got my Transformers, my anime, Final Boss. So yeah,
is it autographed though? That's the question.
It's not autographed. I don't think even if it's autographed, Golden would say, "Yeah, we'll put it up for auction for you." But
is it great? Is it graded as a 10? That's the other question.
probably graded as a -10 right now. -10.
You got to get him on. You got to get him on the case and create a Vinnie Vinzetta. That's what I want.
All right. I'll let him know. I'll tell him to fast forward to this portion of the show and say, hey, Vinny has a message for you. He's his own card. There it is. Vinny, as always, we thank you for stopping by here at Locked On Spurs, taking time out of your busy schedule. What's cooking in your neck of the woods?
Just finishing a story for Friday Night 10. The UTSA women are having a banner season like never before. I think they're 24-3. Saturday is senior day, and we spent some time with Karen Aston, the head coach, and kind of the young lady that's been the foundation of the program to turn this thing around, Jordan Jenkins. So Saturday will be senior day for Jordan. So put together a nice little sit down with Coach Aston and Jordan, and that will air Friday at 10. We've got the girls UIL basketball state tournament Saturday. We have one representative in 5A, the Wagner Thunderbirds. Those ladies will go for the state championship on Saturday. And then next week will be the boys state tournament. We'll see who can possibly advance there. We've got the San Antonio All-Star Hoops game on the way. We've got the Final Four on the way. We've got the Valerian Open on the way. And then I've been working on a story. The head coach of Veterans Memorial Boys Basketball, Steve Perez, it's kind of a cool dynamic. He's the head coach of the boys basketball team. Then he's a girl dad 7 times over at home. So seven daughters at home, and then he's got his boys basketball team. So just kind of a unique perspective there. Had some fun with he and the wife and the kids. So looking forward to getting that put together as well. So lots going on.
Yeah, Vinny definitely has his plate full, but you want to catch up with everything what's going on in him. You want to follow him on X at @VVinzetta. Make sure to do that right now. And once we get the Vinnie Vinzetta cards, hope you can autograph them. Have an autograph table there. Everybody come by. It'll be a long line of 2 people. Are you ready for that kind of crowd, Vinny?
Well, I was going to say, if you're a -10, I'm probably a -20. So we'll just have to we'll have to put the word out and get 2 or 3 people to show up. Yep.
There you go. Again, follow him on X at @VVinzetta. Hey, everybody, we'll be back tomorrow talking all things silver and black as the Spurs season is starting to wind down. Can't believe it's already winding down. It went by like that. But we'll still have you covered here on Locked On Spurs. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. iTunes, Spotify, KENS 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. Locked On Spurs newsletter is in the description below. Click on that link. It says LO Spurs newsletter. It's completely free. Sign up today. So for Vinnie Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.